We live in unique times. Changes with the speed of light. Developing in accordance with our scheme will achieve success and find answers to the questions of the future centuries, though even we cannot predict them, but we are ready to develop, grow, and dive into the ocean of knowledge and rotate the planet with our own hands. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Reznik, and I'm working in Inventive Retail Group, managing corporate culture, brand of the employer, well-being, HR research, etc. What is our company doing? We're quite a large business in B2C, B2B, and B2D businesses. You must have been to our stores of Risto, Samsung, Xiaomi, North Face, 3B, Sequent, and others. I will start my story with the 24th of February. I was flying from Irkutsk to Moscow, many hours, huge time difference. I'm not understanding what is happening in the country. Then I turn on my phone and receive lots of messages from colleagues, from family. And on the next day, February 25th, I am aware that my personal world has changed, has transformed. What's to be done next? I do not know. I come to work on the 25th of February. My husband calls me and tells me, we have $100 in the bank. Will this be enough to start our new life? And here I understand that I do not need any money. I have to start a new life. I'm sitting in the kitchen. I hope that each and everyone, when coming to the company to work, first goes to the kitchen. And by the way, we have a tea culture in our company, several types, several sorts of tea that we brew in the mornings, in the evenings. We have various teapots, clay, glass, cast iron teapots, etc. So I understand straight away that we're going to diversify our teas. Next day, we already have stop stress tea, good mood tea, Royal Earl Grey that managed to help practically everybody to survive through various crises, and all this solaces us. And we then have chamomile in our kitchens, and it is not just chamomile, it's a teapot which is written, hey, I'm your friend chamomile, I'm going to pacify, solace you, protect you from various diseases. So I pour myself this magic tea, look around, and all the people are sitting, looking into their phones, scrolling without stopping. Certainly, we live in the internet all the time, especially starting from the pandemic. But nowadays, it's a real binge surf. So we wrote on the tables, please enjoy food, not the telephone. We sell all kinds of phones in our company, iPhones, Samsung, Xiaomi. Some people have one phone, some two, some three. But the main thing is to remain here and now. If you are eating pasta with cheese, continue to eat and enjoy your pasta and cheese. Never mind the news. If you can't say no to your phone, I've devised a special checklist with all kinds of useful things you may do if you have some free time and do not want to use your phone. Next, I have always understood that office is a place where I work, and it's a small model of any business of my company. And if everything I'm trying in the office is working, really working, then it's cool. You know this phrase that first put a mask on yourself. What is the meaning of this phrase? Not that you have to remain conscious and help everybody else. The essence here is that you put a mask on yourself and check whether it is working or not. Everything you introduce in the company, you have to check on your own selves. Without this, it won't work. So sitting in the kitchen, I was trying to recollect what else helped me in my life. And aside from my various educations, I remember that I wanted to be a biologist when I was a child. And they assigned us to do and try various experiments at home. And one of these experiments was they asked us to collect branches of trees, put them in the water at home, and look how gradually they will shoot, you will see swelling buds, shooting leaves, and then blossoming. Life is going on. No events in the world will be able to stop it. Certainly, next day at the office in our kitchen, there were jars or glasses with water and tree branches. And throughout the whole march, we were observing how life was actually rushing into the lives of our employees. We started discussing what worked for whom in their lives. And somebody told me, cat petting works for me. Never mind how long you pet your cat. You may tell him everything you want. You may be silent. I have a cat allergy. That's why I have a dog at home. But it works. It really works. That's why we now have cats in the office. They were silent in specially dedicated zones. And we started this cat therapy. What else? We had a self-assistance library. It was a huge resource. We collected various practices there. For example, somebody came up to work and said that webinar was cool, and we immediately added a link to the library. And then somebody said there are lots of companies that provide psychological support. I tried one of them, called them, and found out that everything was great, that the people on the other side of the phone were real professionals, and we launched all these hotlines for our employees, for them to use them. We also gave tips about films, books, created our podcast. And by the way, the podcast helped us a lot. At some point, I understood that there is a phrase that is very popular, toehold. And we very often lack this toehold or point of support. We created a podcast that was called this name, and we cooperated with young guys who recorded a lot of chill music, and we created this wonderful podcast, and all our employees from Kaliningrad to Khabarovsk could listen this podcast at any moment of time. Humor is also one of the strengths of our company. I'm trying to use jokes all the time. I'm trying to do it good way, maybe sometimes not very good. So we launched the infographics with 3 words. Oh, that's it. And then in small script at the bottom, relax. This worked 100%, and every time people came to my desk, I put this sign on my desk, and usually 40-45 people come up to me to work per day. So they came up, were telling me something, but still looking at this sign. That's it, but relax. It also helped. What else? I thought, okay, I use my mobile phone a lot. Lots of family chats and corporate chats. So I take the phone more than 300 times a day into my hands. What did we devise? We made wonderful screensavers for the mobile phones. For example, my favorite screensaver was the inhale, exhale. For example, something happened. I looked at my phone at some point, saw this inhale, exhale. Before texting somebody or calling somebody, I inhaled and then exhaled. That was good. All the top managers used the screensaver with the words, well done. But this is not a good advice, I would say. Another project which I'm proud of. You don't have to make things too complicated. Many people think that well-being is a huge ecosystem with webinars, various spheres, and to which this program has to respond. Believe me, if you do not micro-practice every day, you won't achieve great result. You may write a huge well-being program, defend it in front of your top managers, but if your employees are still unhappy at work, where they spend the majority of their time, then this well-being program doesn't work, never mind the figures. Hence, it is very important to ask simple questions of your people. And the simple question I put to everybody is, how are you today? And it was a huge questionnaire we launched among our employees, received lots of answers. And actually, we had 2 options, open answers, or with alternatives they had to choose out of. And we saw cool results. Finishing my story, I would like you to ask yourselves today, how am I today? What can help me to live this day better? What next? I do not know. Time will show. Thank you very much for your attention. If it is the day of change, the change of the members of the sum, but we know that the essence won't change if the places of the sum are changed. And there are no reasons, if it is a tailwind, not to dive into the depth. Raise your sails and off the tall ships go. Good afternoon. My name is Zhenya Komissarov. I deal with the personnel development in Sportmaster. Before that, I used to work in Ozon and Megaphone and deal with education throughout all my life. September is also always associated with coming back from holiday, preparing for school, for kindergarten, and in the company preparing the bonus award. And I prepared a program for everybody after the holidays called feedback, so that you share your feedback and you receive feedback from other people. There were various formats, various speakers, various topics, things people discussed who liked what or who did not like what. And I felt a sense of purpose. But then end of September came, and the events that changed my attitude towards everything I had been doing before. From the technical point of view, I was continuing to do all the same, but didn't feel anything. Every time we launched a new format, I was always thinking, is it needed now? Maybe this is not right to do this right now. And these thoughts were overwhelming. I'm not using social media, but my phone told me that I started monitoring and scrolling various apps a lot, looking for information, maybe reading the news. It became my bad habit, by the way. Moreover, I started, actually stopped feeling this sense of purpose, feeling myself not useful. I was monitoring the statistics of the events that were taking place. People were coming to these events. They were quite involved. There were various discussions going on. And it seemed that everything was okay with all the other people except for myself. But I was not showing my bad feelings on the outside. Prior to one of such events, I spoke to one very strong speaker. It was a lady. And the topic she had to deliver was not an easy one. Feedback in an unpleasant negotiation, feedback to the top manager. And she told me, Zhenya, I'm not ready to deliver the presentation. And she is a very strong lady, self-assured lady, who simply can't say this. So I told her, we can't go backwards. I can provide any type of support, but you have to deliver. Because otherwise 1,500 people, our employees, will lack this support. Certainly, I tried to say it as soft as possible, but she understood it like, go and do it. The event started. I knew the attitude of the people and the speaker, but in the course of this event, it grew very warm-hearted in spite of this difficult topic, and all the employees were very thankful for this training. And I started feeling that I was doing things right. Very often I get individual feedback from various employees, etc. But aside for standard thanks, we'll try our best, I started asking people, how did you feel before this event and how are you feeling afterwards? I started getting aware that I'm not alone, that other people are having practically the same thoughts as I had. And the main thought I had at that time was that we can live through these times together. The company did a lot to help its employees, but from the point of view of processes, tools, products, it produced for people and the employees, but the focus of employees was on different things, and this was not noticed. I could not notice any discussions in the corridors, like, for example, we have wonderful commercial results, we'll have good bonuses, or it's such a great new office, we waited for the refurbishment for a long time. People were not talking to each other on these topics, and I never heard anything like this being discussed. So within my team, we started thinking how to live through all this together. And we have developed a format of psychological support that was unique for us because a classical psychological support didn't suit us. Many people were not ready for it simply. And we wanted to show that we are speaking not about performance, effectiveness, and targets, but that we are together. And together we are going to learn how to live through it. And together with a company called The Culture of Happiness, we decided to produce this product. It was important for us that we didn't have to register or approve certain forms. It did not take a lot of time. The mechanics was very easy. Click the banner at our portal and you will be forwarded to Telegram. Why Telegram? Because practically everybody has Telegram, and it has many capabilities to manage the content. And since you could go to it from any moment, not from the very launch, you could still see the content, the previous content. And there were two formats. One for those people who were aiming the content, who wanted to study the information, but the other group wanted to discuss it. But we were thinking how not to overload people with this information. So we produced the marathon format by providing the information gradually, step by step. The topics could be discussed in the chat. And many employees started discussing things in the corridors. Not the format was the main thing, but the content. And we produced it as podcasts. People liked the baritone of our speaker, Andrei, who delivered the content that could be listened when driving a car or riding a metro. Some people listened to him in the evenings at home, sitting around the table with the family. And I listened to him in the mornings, 8 a.m. It was important for me to do certain tricks Andrei mentioned because I wanted to have more useful habits that would help me to be more stable, to do this automatically. Like the geometry of the wing is constructed right. There are very small structures on the wings of the airplanes called winglets. They are practically free of charge, but they allow for the plane to fly further distances. That's what I've got from our project. In the chat, people shared their moods and thoughts. I didn't write anything, but I was reading it a lot. And there were psychologists present in the chat. We had very good supporting space, by the way, and not the presence of professionals in the chats and other formats was important, but the atmosphere created. We had tea parties during the weekends and even individual sessions with psychologists or even with Andrei. This was very motivating. 4 weeks passed with 5 topics, various topics, and there was a huge response on the side of the employees because many people thought one topic for the whole marathon, but practically every week it was a new topic. And it motivated people a lot to study their materials, not only within the marathon, but beyond it as well. People were looking for various books and publications in the libraries and used internal materials as well. Throughout this time, I came back to the state of a person engaged and involved and enthusiastic about what he is doing. But the main thing is that I've learned how to live through difficult situations together. I've gone through various trainings before that, but no such insights. And 560 people like this in all. In the chat, there were 380 participants. We certainly measured various metrics of this project. You may see them. We understand very well that a lost person at work won't be able to produce anything useful, neither for himself nor the company. And the main conclusion that can be drawn from this story is that education is one of the main tools and saviors or saving tools to live through such difficult times. And for myself, the conclusion is that my work is of paramount importance. Maybe after this project, I understand it much better and will do my work better. Thank you. People need people. Give a hand when it is needed. Remind about a miracle with which we can feel ourselves. Only stepping towards each other, opening their arms for the hug, you will have broader shoulders and it will be easier for you to breathe with a healthy air of warm meetings. It is very important for us to preserve a human being inside ourselves. Good afternoon. My name is Anastasia Saltzman. I'm HR Consulting and Educational Projects Director in Redmond Robot and VERNO company co-founder. Let's discuss health of the teams, why is the top managers and HR in this process. Throughout the time of working with top managers, I remembered fairy tales. Each character used to have assistants or guides who helped the heroes to cope with their trials. Each Ivanushka had either an apple tree or a wolf or a Russian stove. In the world of myths, the journey of the main hero is not alone. In my story, the hero is top manager while the assistants are HR team. And altogether they have to find how to help systematically the whole teams. I will tell you two stories. Edward, top manager, who is used to work with the best people, experienced and independent experts. And in our story, he starts building his dream team, best of the best, who are ready to undertake complicated tasks, non-trivial solutions, and even accept risks. But time passes. Several cool projects already done by the team, but somehow people started working worse, not better, as if the company has lost its grip. They roam around, are bored. Some people are looking for better proposals on the market. Some even become inert. What happened? The tasks became repeated and predictable. No more challenges, and they lost interest. Eduard is very sad with this. His new routine is aura, constant motivational meetings and trying to retain people. And imagine how difficult it is when you have collected a team of talented people and now you are losing them. The second story, Anna, head of a division, but at heart, more a coach. Previous experience taught her that she can't build a team based on the stars only. So she stakes on those who are young and promise well. But still, the operational side of the business is not disappearing, and at some point, Anna understands that everything is held in place by her in the department. And with the amount of mentor meetings with her young employees, she didn't have time to sleep. And these young employees seem to be absolutely helpless. When Anna falls ill or goes on holiday, the work goes crazy. Nothing is being done. What we HR can do in one or other situation? Based on the logics of a fairy tale, magical assistant has to come onto stage and help. We call the system in Redmond Robot healthiest self-reproducing team. This is a team that unites both Edward team and Anna's team. For example, in the Edward team, they help to introduce new solutions and better solutions into technological projects, while That's what Eduard's team needs, while Anna needs those who are mentors who are going to support everything with best practices. But it doesn't mean that we technically have to unite both teams. We have to unite their approaches. We have to add novices, new specialists to Eduard's team, and more experienced specialists should be added to Anna's team. Sounds great, but what in reality? In reality, we have to understand what hindered them from doing this before. For example, the experts want to share their experience, but they are frightened to speak up publicly or do not have talents to write cases. Thus, we can organize an environment for them when it won't be frightening. We'll start with homes, sessions and demonstrations. Then the employees can exchange and share opinions in chamber-like atmosphere. And the experts will help them prepare the cases. Young specialists need mentors. Let's offer this job to the experienced employees, but first draw the borderline, because the responsibility of a mentor has to be limited. And we'll tell them how to work with their mentees without bringing a loss to their main tasks. Thus, gradually, we have new peer-to-peer activities for education in the team, both for the experienced team and the newcomers. And we also agree about the rules. For example, that mentor is not a nanny, is not a professional psychologist. It's the employee himself who is responsible for the training process. One part of people management tasks may be freely delegated to the team. The managers, top managers themselves work better. Both Eduard and Anna feel themselves much better. They have more energy. They started to deal more with the energy of scaling up the business. And the level of trust in the teams has grown up. There are more opportunities for their experts to show their advantages, and the novices are receiving feedback all the time. You can't change all this in one moment. We started doing step by step. The most well-developed school of training was among project managers. We, as HR, evaluated how the needed functions are working in which divisions and which teams are ready for knowledge exchange. We have taken into account their previous experience, the rakes people were stepping on all the time, and then we started to deploy it on all the branches of the companies, first starting with the Moscow office and then throughout the country. And we were observing how they managed to apply our approaches. We analyzed the feedback, and after a year, the mentorship system was well used in all the branches. Sounds great. We can think about launching something similar next year. That's what you must be thinking now. But we have to help people right now, because in our companies we have more and more tired heroes like this. The grain of brain won't grow in the sands of the desert. The flowers of talent won't blossom in the ice. But let you be insistent. And the main principle is as follows. For the best shootings, select a rich soil, and where their results will be most long-standing. Try to select the best soil, because everybody everywhere can blossom. Good afternoon. My name is Oksana Kapasova. I'm head of HR of business partners from Auriga company. March 2011, and it's 5 to 6. For 5 minutes, I was looking at the watch, waiting for 6 p.m. sharp for me to leave my office of the Deputy Director of the Federal Service of Finances and Budget Surveillance. Sounds great, especially for a young lady of 24. I was convinced that my career was on its miraculous way, but it didn't make me happy. Sitting at my office, I was asking myself, Oksana, was it your dream? Was it how you imagined your dream work? Then a telephone rings, I'm back to reality, and try to convince myself again, what are you thinking about? Work cannot be a pleasure, it's work. You have a wonderful, stable company, friendly team, good top manager, but day after day, I am feeling worse and worse. And it reaches the level when I get up in the morning, I'm already thinking about the time I will finish work this day, and am actually forcing myself to go to work. All the tasks seem to be boring and routine, and I do not wish to undertake a new project. Irritation is growing in terms of everything that surrounds me at work. Once in a traffic jam, I thought, what will be in my life, in my career, in 5 years if I do not change anything right now? Maybe new movements through the ranks, maybe not one, but will it make me happy? Looking from myself from a side in the 5 years perspective, I understood suddenly that I'm living somebody else's life, and that's how it's going to be after 5 years. And I felt the uselessness of this journey. But what is valuable for me? What I am doing really good? What brings me satisfaction? Maybe people, communications, resolution of complicated, non-standard situations of real people, seeing changes and being able to evaluate the result of your work. And at that time, I understood very clearly that in my current profession of that time, I won't be able to realize my potential, because what was valuable for me was not valuable in my work of that time. I didn't want to check and inspect documents, didn't want to deal with analytics. There was nothing in terms of helping people or solving non-standard cases and tasks. In 2016, when I was looking at the watch, I was actually I was not looking forward to 6 p.m. I was thinking I do not have enough time to stay at work. I work more than 8 hours. I'm head of the talent management in a large multinational company in Central and South Russia. But I really enjoy it. I'm in the flow of resolving the tasks, and every year I have a new role. For example, I am already experienced in working head of recruiting, head of education and growth, and I'm head of talent management. I'm full of energy to resolve the challenges. Certainly, it's not as easy as it sounds from my story. Very often I had to go outside the comfortable zone, living all the time in the atmosphere of changes. But I understand that I'm realizing my potential. I always have a wish to work and am motivated to do this. The most difficult step in this story was to make a decision and leave the position of deputy head to the position of a specialist on recruiting. Many people ask me, how did I manage to find my own way of career development? The answer is very simple. It's the question I asked myself back in 2011. What is valuable for me? What makes me happy? What inspires me to work? And these are people and working with people. That's why I have selected HR. And look, There are no values here like prestige, stability, status. They turned out to be not my values, not things that inspire me to work. To be honest, and to be able to hear yourself is one of the main things in the career track. What is moving you along this career track, and what is important for you throughout this career track. Now I'm working in Auriga company, and one of the tasks of my talent management area is to have discussions with the employees within the performance review. We set up targets and discuss the possible development of the employees along their career track. The main mission of our HR team is identification of values of the employees. What is the basis of his or her motivation? What will help to open their potential? Recently, I had a young engineer coming to me. We were discussing the possibilities for his growth, and I asked him, "How do you see yourself in 3 years' time?" He answered straight away, "A project manager." And this is quite normal. Each one of us mostly wants to develop vertically. Almost everyone wants to be a manager. But what inspires you, I ask him, in your role of a manager? And suddenly he answers, "I'm an expert. I know all the technologies well. Colleagues come to me to seek advice. I join the most difficult and interesting tasks of the project. I continuously train and educate myself and know all the changes in the sphere of the technologies." And I understand that he is describing a horizontal career to me. So I tell him, let's discuss what are the main tasks of a project manager. Mainly it's team management, distribution of tasks, reporting, preparation of analytical data. Is this what is interesting for you in your work? Is it what you are telling me about? He fell silent and said afterwards, "No, I want to deep dive into each technological task and deal more with the projects. But will I have enough time to manage and coordinate the team then? Maybe I have to think more about it." Very often, after such discussions, I see myself when you go along the career track and see your final goal, your final point, but you forget about your values, and if you lose motivation, you may end up burned out. Why is it so important to talk with the employees and help them in their selection? Why it is important to identify talents? Because only a motivated employee can show good results and help business to achieve good performance and implement the projects. If the managers won't listen and won't hear what is valuable for the employees, but think only about KPIs, which is also important, but then the employees most probably will be demotivated, and as a rule this leads to professional burnout and no high results, because demotivated employees usually leave the company. But what's to be done if the needs of the business and the interests of the employees are not the same? When we see a talented employee with good results who want to go to another project to change technologies, but for the company's sake, he has to stay where he is in the project he is working at now. It is not an easy question, and I do not have an answer. We can't ignore the interests of the business, but we have to explain to the managers that it is not right not to pay attention to the needs and requests of the employees, because the employees help us to build the business. The result of the work of each employee, their efforts and actions, contribute to the foundation of our business. Hence, our main mission as HR in opening their human potential is to relay this to the top managers and help them find the balance between the needs of the business and values of the employees. New generations see life differently. They look for their inspiration by going to the top of the Himalayas one time after other. It is easier to look at the world from there and fly towards the sun by understanding their mission and essence. They are ready to turn the mountains. Good afternoon. My name is Dmitry Mamontov, and I am responsible. And my name is Tatiana Mushkina. We represent Valta Pet Products. We're going to tell you about our cultural interviewers project. There, every person who is inspired by the concept that human beings are the main partners of the company, they are trying to introduce this into the hearts and brains of the employees. This way is not fast always. Very often it is connected with the reorientation of business goals, shift of paradigm, etc. In Valta, we have gone through the whole of this way, and I may say for sure that transformation of each business towards human centricity is an amazing and fascinating journey. After your company goes through it, it will be stable to all the waves of the modern VUCA and be ready for sustainable world. But what do we have to start with? What will be the components of human centricity in your particular company? I will tell you about our own experience and how our concept, 4 steps towards the organization of the future, came to life. Before 2017, I used to work in large corporations, mining corporations. My life was always filled with sinology and love towards pets. I went all the way from the owner of wonderful Bernese Sennenhund to the dog judge. But gradually, the business was reoriented to maximization of profit, and the only source of energy and inspiration was dog breeding for me. But at some point, I understood that I have to find a new company whose mission will be in line with my DNA and my internal code. This idea will in the future be worded in the HR concept of Valta company. I knew this company for a long time because, as I've told you, I was a sinologist. But in this company, I saw not only a team of like-minded people, but something bigger. I felt that the company had a certain meaning which I could not understand, and I became interested to learn what Valta was all about. In June 2017, I sent a message to Irina Viktorovna Golovchenko via social media, and I was absolutely shocked that in 2 hours, the head of one of the largest businesses in the industry in Russia invited me for a meeting, for an interview. Throughout 3 hours of this interview, she asked questions about what was interesting for me. She asked me about my values, about my drivers, about my motivations. No question throughout 3 hours connected with my hard skills, my achievements, or what I was doing in my professional activities. A cultural shock and getting acquainted with Valta started with this cultural interview. And my fascinating journey started, in which I learned how to impact my life and my business. And thus, gradually, I came to the 4 steps of the company's transformation. The main step is to put this person in the center of all the processes. You can receive the soul of your employees only if you fill their lives with meanings. On the 5th of March 2022, Valta had an annual meeting of the employees. All 26 branches were connected from Kaliningrad to Vladivostok. All 924 employees were with us at our Moscow warehouse, and financial director of the company, Anatoly Golovchenko, was on stage. He represented the Golden Fund of Valta, the people who worked in Valta for more than a decade and who achieved unique achievements in the company and made the company better. At the moment when Anatoly was celebrating representatives of our Golden Fund, it had 54 members, this Golden Fund. Anatoly said, when 5 years ago, Irina Golovchenko, our general manager, told me that we are hiring a PR director and told me the budget of this position, I thought the world had gone crazy. I thought we did not need such an employee in Valta and what such person could do for us, for the company with a unique corporate culture. But Irina managed to convince me. Dima entered the company and is working with us for 5 years. The stories you've heard today were the basis of the company, of the project in the company that was launched in 2020. We decided that aside for professional competences, on the basis of which we select candidates from the very beginning, we value the people as human beings. We need not just employees, but professionals fully infatuated with Valta. And we decided to give an opportunity to the Valta employees to select their future colleagues for themselves. We started the cultural interviewers project. Thus, we assess professional competences, the values of the candidate, and we give an opportunity for the existing Valta employee to talk directly to the candidate. At the moment when the project was launched, we received quite obvious bonuses for ourselves. I'm lucky in this life. I'm a happier HR director. We all understand that there are two main criteria based on which we assess the effectiveness of HR. It is clear that the same as all the others in Valta, we calculate these parameters, but they are not key for us. Key for HR in Valta is how comfortable a person is feeling in the company. On a quarterly basis, we measure the level of happiness among the employees, and also we monitor how well people can realize themselves in the company. When we launched this project, we also had a parallel effect. At the moment when we talk with people, when they come to the company, we learn more about them and go deep into each and every one. We have additional opportunity to develop them more and make them more useful for the company. In 2021, to our surprise, when we counted the employees who grew in the company, we also counted how many shifts were from division to division inside the company. And we were surprised because people from legal started moving to analytical department. Salespeople ended up in IT, and the number of people who grew horizontally exceeded those who grew vertically. And both their rotation parameters changed, and we understood that the cultural interviewers project helps us a great deal to create the necessary environment in the company and fight against the burnout of the employees. Like very often we see people walking or roaming around the corridors with green eyes and green circles around their eyes. You have to understand that there is a dedicated person in each of our 26 branches who is responsible for cultural interviews. He conducts these cultural interviews and helps the mentor at a later stage. When we started this project back in 2020, the main word was budget. So the budget for this project at the very start was zero. Thanks to the efforts and involvement of the employees of our company, we have managed to achieve the results that are not comparable with our investments. As of now, the project is deployed throughout the whole company. 26 branches of the company, 26 cultural interviews are working on a day-to-day basis, and they involve and attract new people to Valta who are in line with our cultural code. We are working towards our mutual result. What makes a person happy at work? First, feeling yourself unique. Nobody here before you. Empty space, and only you can occupy this space and make your work better than anybody else. Second, recognition. A very special thing. In a real human-centric company, the work in terms of recognition of achievements and merits is a process. Your human purpose and your importance as a human being is the main thing and matters here. And simultaneous, number three, simultaneous play. That's the basis of the culture. Mutual respect, caring about each other, common traditions and values. Our dream and our reality today in Valta is that any person should feel comfortable at his or her place. As a real Confucianist, Valta cherishes the success of each and every one. And as a confirmation to this are the words of our employees who see the future like Valta for their children. We had a day for children in Valta today throughout the whole day. For the young children, smaller children, these were games. For the older one, we discussed the future professions. I've told them, I sincerely think that everything you are doing should be done well and cool. If you're doing something better than the others, you definitely will be a mega profi and in demand. I've learned that Valta is a very big company and highly caring about people, nature, dogs, cats, and all the other animals. This day, Valta parents who are in love with their profession brought their Valta children to the company. Their selection, the choice of profession, future profession, is the most serious. And if there are places where this may be simplified, Valta is the place where, first and foremost, they think about people. I would like my children to work where they think about themselves. If it is Valta, I will be glad. Sweeties, toys, trickster, little folks over there, and certainly you. Fortune, many millions of those lead to happiness. Keys are important here. You have to find them. Look around yourselves, not beyond 7 seas. Here, in dogs' noses, in their tails, in people, in their ringing voices, in everybody who is ready for happiness, you will be able to open the door. And in order to accept happiness, you have to give it to others. Good afternoon, Natalia Pichugina, HR Director, Greenatom company of State Rosatom Corporation. 3 years ago, the phone rings at my office, and it was a specialist on occupational safety, Sergey, who summoned me to a meeting room. I see a crowd of people there in front of the door. I see that Sergei is calling for the ambulance. Somebody is carrying a glass of water, and one of my employees, Lena, is lying on the floor. I'm shocked. What could happen? Two people are sitting nearby. Next, the ambulance comes. Lena refuses to be hospitalized. It was an epilepsy fit. Dialogue with Lena. How long do you have it? From teenage. How often do you have fits? Not often. When was it the last time? 1 year ago. When she was entering the company, she didn't tell us that such thing may happen. And neither myself nor my team were ready, and we could not provide adequate help. These rules are very simple, and I know them today, and it seems important for me that each and every person knows how to behave if the other person near him has an epileptic fit. First, help a person to softly lie down on a surface. Put away all sharp objects so that the person doesn't harm himself in seizures. Put the person on the flank. This is important. And something soft underneath the head. Definitely call the ambulance and fix the time of the beginning and the end of the fit, and be always near this person. There is a stereotype that you have to try and unclench the teeth with a spoon in the mouth. This is not needed. Unfortunately, next day, people would come to me at work and ask whether I really wanted to continue working with Lena. I did have, do have, and will have a definite answer: yes. Moreover, 1 year ago, we organized a new practice about employment of people with special needs or reduced capabilities. Their goal was to provide equal opportunities to people, never mind gender, age, or disability, with the help of creating the inclusive environment. In Greenatom, we have a service center for their personnel, and we are now working with their people. We're accepting their requests from the people with special needs, and we have singled out the areas where these people may work. For example, working with the HR documents. If the person has very good analytical opportunities, it will be control procedures. If communication skills are well developed, then contact center, call center. 18 people are working within this project with various diagnoses: oncology, hearing impairment, musculoskeletal disorders. I remember several cases which touched me a lot. For example, a young man is coming to us to be employed. He is brought by his parents because he can't walk, but his eyes are really glowing and burning because he wants to do everything as quick as possible. We helped him with everything, certainly. A lady with musculoskeletal disorders came to us by taxi, but could not walk to the company because slippery ice covered the street. We helped her and did everything that was needed, and then sent her home. We select a very flexible schedule depending on the person. If the person has mobility problems, he may work from home. If no mobility problems, then in the office, in accordance with a flexible schedule. Individual mentors exist for these people, and the optimal period of mentorship for people with special needs is 4 months, based on our experience. Initially, we had a hypothesis that employees with special needs or reduced capabilities will have lower productivity compared to healthier employees. But our experience shows that if physical presence is not needed, productivity reaches 90%. If we move away from dry figures, the emotional investment is an unconditional effect when the employees are ready to help each other and are ready to be involved in the corporate life. There were cases in our experience when we were not ready. For example, we have recruited a young lady who could move only on a wheelchair to work with the archiving documents. She could not archive the documents because there was not enough space for maneuvering on a wheelchair and the shelves were too high for her. We offered her a different position. In another case, a young lady with the impaired hearing could not pass full-fledged remote training by phone because our equipment was not adapted for these specifics. Three main factors of success. First and foremost, great thanks to all our top managers who believed us, were involved and managed to ignite the whole team. So top managers are a very important success factor. Second factor, individual approach, customized approach to each candidate. And factor number three, thanks to our partners, both federal and regional levels, who help us find and such people and meet them. In conclusion, after 1 year, my close family member was diagnosed with epilepsy. And I remember we were riding home with my husband in a car, and my husband tells me, this family member will never find good work and he will have problems in personal life. And I understand that our stereotypes about people with reduced capabilities are so strong that we make conclusions in advance, even without trying to understand the specifics of the diagnosis and their personalities. My experience tells the opposite. Lena is a highly talented and full-fledged person. She leads a very interesting life. Our employees with special needs demonstrate very good performance, and there's great happiness when you look into the eyes of a person and see gratitude for seemingly very simple things, that you have assigned him with a task and believe that he will be able to fulfill it. I like very much that each top manager who is authorized to form teams would try at least once to take such a person into his team. And you will see that these are absolutely normal people. Common long way starts with the first step of each and every one. Let's change stereotypes and build companies with a place for each and every one. Each one of us has a key in his hand. The question is, which doors will be opened by these keys? Any person who trusts in his opportunities will leave a footprint through the centuries. All people are different, but each one is talented. And those who strive for accomplishment will see a magic path. Sometimes the first step may be frightening, but success will rotate us in a wonderful dance. Good afternoon, my name is Sofia Mukhidinova. I work as HR head in Dodo Pizza and communicate with people working in pizzeria. I once got acquainted with a delivery guy from St. Petersburg. But before I share the story he shared with me, a few words about the context. You must remember 2020, when the COVID pandemic just started. We all were self-isolated, and it was a real nightmare for us at that time. And many people started a new pattern, home deliveries. A year before that, 2018, 2019, we did not order such a lot. But now in 2022, home deliveries have become quite common for each and every one. At least for myself. I order something twice a day for sure. Now, the story of Konstantin, that's a delivery guy from St. Pete Delivery. He's 35, working in our company for 3 years, and once he had an adventurous day when Everything that could go wrong went wrong throughout one shift of his work. There may be situations in pizzerias when there are many orders. Pizzeria prepares pizzas very quickly. Delivery guys have to work very quickly as well so that our clients receive best and hot pizza, most tasty pizza. It was exactly a day like this. Peak of orders, and Konstantin likes his work. He likes delivering good, tasty pizzas. So he took the boxes and quickly boarded the car with a voice input, mentioned the address into the navigator. But when he reached the address, he understood that he said not Yuzhная Street, but Yuzhная Driveway, and he arrived not to the destination of his client, but to a different address. It was already almost deadline of the delivery, and very quickly he had to drive to the right address. But it was not the end of the mishaps. It was downpouring rain. It was quite dark, and actually the rain lasted for several days already. And when turning to a side street, Konstantin did not notice that the manhole was open, and his car got stuck with a wheel into the manhole. So Konstantin jumped out of the car and on foot run to the client's address. He comes to the door with the house intercom, and he understands that the intercom is not working. So he had to use his mobile phone. Nothing much special about it, but remember, when it is a downpouring rain, your mobile phone may not respond to your fingers touching the screen. Finally, Konstantin managed to reach his client, and he delivered the pizza for this family in St. Pete. Thus, either Konstantin was absolutely lucky or unlucky with all these mishaps. Rain, open manhole, not operating intercom, a real combo, as we joked afterwards. It seems to me that after such shifts, monuments have to be erected to the delivery guys, and there is a real monument to the delivery guy in Moscow, which was constructed during Corona pandemic. But you understand that you can't put a monument into your pocket, so we decided in our company to take care about our delivery guys. By the way, each delivery man goes along more than 65,000 kilometers a year. Shocking fact for me. If all the delivery guys from Dodo would live in one city, it might have been a whole city of Kamazak in Astrakhan region. Do you know a city where a mayor would come up to each citizen asking, what is wrong, how can I help you, or do you have anything wrong? And speaks on a pari passu basis with each and every citizen. I do not know such cities, but in the business there are frequent situations also when GMs or directors are not on pari passu basis with their employees. We have Gamba practice in our company when the top manager goes into the fields working at production. In our case, it's pizzeria. Gamba is a great practice. Aside for solving business tasks, you may communicate with real people who are working in your company, feel their pains, understand what worries them, and maybe come to certain solutions. Our founder, Fyodor Ovchinnikov, is also practicing Gamba on a regular basis. Here you can see him with one of our employees working in one of the pizzerias. The other top managers are also doing this type of Gamba on a regular basis. When one of our product owners went to Gamba, we also launched our delivery application that Konstantin is now using, and I am using this app when I start Gamba. It is much easier both for the delivery guys and for the clients because they can monitor all the way of the delivery guy to their home. Konstantin also produced feedback to us. He likes customized and personified apps. For example, he wrote us that the app would address him something like, "Welcome, my young Padawan," but it still is saying something like, "Hi, Konstantin." We already entered this into the backlog and are going to change this for Konstantin. We're always open to feedback. We have such a parameter as happiness index. Once a month, the pizzeria employees write to us what they like, what they don't like. And after this delivery app, they thanked us that they like it very much. They would like to use it more and more. And they were proposing new functionality, new features, and thanked us for their pumpkins we made for them for Halloween. But, you know, in the Dodo company, we have such a notion as Dodo pyramid. People are the basis of this pyramid. Then comes the product and then the profit. For us, people are the main thing, and we are doing everything for them to be maximally comfortable to work in our company. I, the same as many of my colleagues, always do Gamba very often. For example, I am at the cashier desk here in one of the pizzerias. Was working as a delivery girl when it was -30 last winter. And it is very important for me to communicate with people and to try and make their life and work better. Please be on a par basis with your employees. The day-to-day is a success. Kostya is always glad, and you can see this on his face. But he drove to a wrong place. Never mind, he goes in a gallop under downpouring rain. Flat tire? Okay, I'm going on foot to my client because I have to be in a hurry to deliver the hot pizza. I was all wet, but I've managed to deliver the pizza. Good afternoon. My name is Valery Razgulyaev, Byond Taylor company, and I'm an expert in terms of these systems. I will tell you how it all started. It all started with a phrase of the Leopold Tomcat, "Let's be friends." We understand that this phrase is becoming more and more meaningful, even political now. I always liked this protagonist, and felt empathy towards him. Actually, I've always been empathic, and many people think that it is cool. Empathy is really good. It is a basis for our emotional intellect, but when you have empathy as a congenital aspect of your nature, you feel very painful for all the people around you. You want to make good for everybody. I've lived in this mode for a long time in my childhood and thought, okay, we are growing to become adults and we'll be wiser, won't be offended. But when I came to work, it turned out all the same. People were arguing, fighting, but even at a more professional level. department against department, division against division, company against company, and these arguments do not disappear. I didn't want to take part in all this and have selected a role that allowed me not to fight with anybody but to calculate. The role was manager of the volume of the order. Many people do not understand what it is all about. We are the people who are doing everything for this toast. The toast, the Russian toast, sounds less drink to us to have everything and avoid punishment for having this. We are calculating at our position the stocks in order for the stocks not to be too large, but at the same time that there's always products for the customers who want to buy them. It is, you are simply calculating based on input parameters, and on the basis of these figures, you understand what's to be done. So I was dealing with these persons and thought myself already a professional. I was trying to squeeze out effectiveness from shares of persons already. But then a black swan came. Now there are lots of black swans around us. But at that time, this was the first black swan in my life. I thought that I was doing so well, almost ideal. And suddenly, marketing launches a campaign. We run out of the products. The customers are not happy. And they claim that they were deceived because marketing promised them a good price and there are no products. Top managers ask the marketing how this is possible, and the marketing says everything is we did everything okay. It is Valera's fault. And I understood that these punishments for the problems, for the challenges, do not resolve the challenges themselves. They simply increase the challenges. Thanks to my empathy, it helped me in that case. I didn't start fighting against marketing, though this is a very traditional resolution in standard companies. Because very often people are punished for the challenges, but usually the reason for these challenges is bad communication. If marketing had told me, reserve more because we have such and such campaign, there would be no problem at all. In our case, there were two potential people at fault, marketing and procurement. Never mind who will be punished. Anyway, this person will consider the situation to be unfair. And certainly you don't have a positive attitude towards the person who punishes you. You try to avoid these people who punished you. And thus the communication worsens even more. And this gives rise to still new problems. It is a real cornucopia of challenges. Top managers punish everybody around. People stop communicating whatsoever. I've come across such situations when people think that the other people in their company are receiving salaries, come to work and do things at work only in order to make something bad for this particular person. It is a real vicious circle. When I found myself inside this circle, I understood that I had to go to marketing and talk to them. When communicating with marketing, I understood their challenges, and we came to terms what's to be done next time in order to avoid punishments or challenges. We agreed about the time when they have to give us heads up prior to the next campaign, and the situation next time was absolutely different. But we still moved further. We tried to understand how the campaigns impact the future sales and what happens with the substitution products or similar products after the campaigns. When we discussed all these things with marketing in advance, we had a very good effect. Thus, we have turned the vicious circle the other way around, where we are on friendly terms, minimal challenges or problems in between us. And if something happens, we come to terms again so as to avoid such punishments and try to achieve better results. I understand that these are global problems in many companies. Because when I managed to come to terms with marketing and saw great results, I went to other divisions like accounting, etc. And it became the main type of my activities. I was trying to find common interests, common points of interest. And I understood that if we try to resolve this systemically, we can achieve much better corporate results. And that's what I recommend for everybody to do. And please always remember Leopold Tomcat, let's be friends. If you do not succeed, we're always ready to help. There are two wonderful books. One, I'm the author, the other one, Zhenya Shipin. There are tours to VkusVill, and there is a Telegram feed. We tell about ourselves, answer questions, or you may write to my email address. I will be happy to share my approaches for you to be a pacifier for the people, if not for the money, and not for the money mainly, but for the wonderful feeling you have afterwards. A butterfly sits on a fly, the same as a hornet and a bee, in order to acquire the life energy, so that the butterfly knows well that she will be able to find everything that Mother Nature accumulated in this flower, and then will be able to lead the others. Good afternoon. My name is Svetlana Golubyeva. I work in Gazpromneft and am working with the platform called Professionals 4.0. Usually December is pre-Christmas hustle and also summing up at a corporate level. In a large corporations, deadlines are read already, so you feel yourself in the mid-hot summer. Lots of work. Practically like this, I remember the end of the year 2019 for myself, when plus to all this pre-New Year hassle, I received a non-trivial task to develop neural network for brand audit for the federal filling stations, more than 15 countries all over the country. Data science nowadays is a well-known IT term. Some 3 years ago, it was something close to science fiction or satanism for me, and practically nowhere to find information about it. But the task was clear. A team of data scientists had to be found that will develop the system of mistakes recognition, the filling stations with the help of the computer vision. The technology that I didn't know at all and that was underdeveloped at that time. So the classical triangle, deadlines, costs, and content, classical triangle for any project starts to collapse very gradually for me because the deadlines are certainly something like 6 months. Costs are too high. I could not find anything inside the company because it meant a long time. We could find second option, find contractors. I see the costs for the offers that are of interest to me, and I understand that we can buy these companies for this money. Okay, what else? We can hire a specialist. So I already imagine how I write a request to increase the headcount, form a special request into recruiting, wait for the results of security and medical tests. You understand, practically the same 6 months. So I'm starting thinking about students, a team of students, but a question of quality is important. So I was thinking about how to hack this triangle. Instead of go out shopping to buy gifts for family and friends, I'm sitting at the office and thinking how to cope with this. Go to the kitchen to brew myself a cup of coffee and bump into my colleague Olga. She asks me to answer several questions because she was doing some research, and at the end of this interview I share my pain with her. And suddenly Olga offers me an interesting solution. She says, why not go to the professionals 4.0 platform and try to find data scientists there? And I suddenly understand that I forgot everything about freelancers. Professionals 4.0 is a human crowd platform or a freelance platform where the customers from business are looking for the professionals to resolve their tasks. And Olga told me that there are many IT specialists, designers, engineers, and other professionals with other competences, with great experience. They are ready to work off stuff based on short-term contracts. Very interesting, but I have many questions. First, to describe technical assignment, you have to be an expert in this field. I am working in marketing, so everything I know about data science is how to translate this into Russian. How to select the freelancers who will respond to this assignment without the expertise. Then they are individuals. How do I sign contracts with them? And many other red tape questions. And last but not least, how to work with the team of freelancers who are based different places. I didn't have any experience like this before, but I didn't have much choice. And next day I'm already talking to brief manager. It's a specialist on the platform who asks me many questions, and then he produces a technical assignment. The technical assignment is placed on the platform next day at affordable price, and I start receiving responses from the freelancers. I do not understand how to understand all these responses, and the guys from the platform also undertake this task and create a short list of candidates. I select together with them the best one, and I almost hear jingle bells in my ears. So this candidate, we've selected the best one. His name is Frank, and he has his own team and they are ready to start my project straight away. The moment I am ready to go to legal to think how we prepare a contract with this team, I receive an email from Professionals 4.0, and they tell me that they will do the contracting themselves while I may start my direct tasks. And also, a personal manager from Professionals 4.0 comes to help us. You can imagine how surprised I am when 2 weeks after I bumped into Olga, we already start working on this project. And finally, I spent time going shopping, buying gifts, decorating the fir tree, thinking about new recipes for the Christmas dinner. Finally, I've managed to hack a triangle. Freelancers are much cheaper than the usual ways, and if you ever tried to purchase some service and it took 3-6 months if you went traditional ways, here you have 2 weeks. It's a real achievement. And finally, we think about the quality. The quality turned out to be great. 2 months afterwards, we already test the model, and the model detects the first mistake at the filling station based on the photograph. This model was inbuilt into our internal system, and it is still being used up to now. This experience tells me that in each large corporation, any task is resolved by people. And in my case, Professionals 4.0 became such a new, such inspiring solution that after this project, I joined Professionals 4.0 and am watching similar stories in the course of these years. People helping professionals from small and large corporations to resolve all kinds of tasks. And the corporations save 70% of money working with Professionals 4.D and 30% of their time. This project has a huge social function in the whole of Russia. Our mission is to find interesting works in the companies and provide it to talented people based in various regions. Why the specialists on the other side of the platform need this? They have their own conditional triangle, additional income, interesting tasks, and flexible schedule. Via P4.0, more than 1,500 people found additional work, and they worked 750 million rubles. Not bad throughout 3 years. But there are life stories of the same talents behind each of these stories. More than 40,000 of them on the platform: IT, marketing, design, analytics, business intelligence, engineering, and other business functions that are maximally in demand. That's how in Buryatia, in the city of Ulan-Ude, we found Andrei. Andrei is working on his 7th project via the platform. And his first one dates back to 2019. After his first successful project, it was a task for Gazpromneft. He decided not to stop, and for 4 years in a row, he resolves interesting tasks in various teams and companies. Aside for the fact that it is a unique task for you, a unique opportunity for Andrei to earn more money, but also he can implement his abilities in large companies that are not represented in his region. He is a history specialist based on background. He was the first one who found the project Military Glory on the platform, which envisaged harvesting of huge data. And finally, he was able to implement his talents as a teacher of history. Last year, he relocated to Moscow, and he felt himself much more self-assured. He understood that the portfolio he managed to create via the platform became key factor for his successful employment in a large corporation in the capital of Russia. More than 2,000 projects on the platform and approximately 2 human stories behind each of them. The customers and the talents. For me, the platform made a gift of a new year. For Andrei, realization of his dream and implementation of his talents. We can digitize all our work, surround it with and measure it with all the KPIs. We know how to do it working in a big corporation, but at the end of the day, we make people happier. Thank you. It is not difficult to find stars. Look into the sky, and they will immediately turn on, and in the best of form will show themselves to you. But how to measure the light that both in a good day and in a fog will leave a footprint at the level of the universe? Because the stars glow not only in the darkness, but they are leading the ships along seas.